Booth camera.
Hi.
He's moving.
Good evening, family. My name is Michael. I'm definitely an alcoholic and a junkie.
Alright, so like here.
Thank you. And you have no idea how scary it is to stand up here. Because I was from the Silkworth unit, twice reject.
Twice reject.
Twice?
Yeah.
May of 1999 and September of 1999. Twice reject of a Silkworth unit. October 1999. Reject of Jelnik unit. Then graduate of Jelnik unit. I did not graduate. They kicked me out. I have 30 minutes. That's all we got. It's a meeting. It's a speaker meeting. They ask you to keep the drunk-along down to minimum. 10 minutes from drunk-along. I don't know how in the world I'm going to tell you my drunk-along at 10 minutes. But that's not what I'm here for. On Monday this week, I celebrated 10 years of sobriety. I managed finally, after multiple jails, institutions, multiple people dying, etc., finally the message that Hazelden, and I owe my life to Hazelden, make no mistake about it. I owe my life to Alcoholics Anonymous, but I owe my life to Hazelden. And when they tell you on the way out, 28 days later, if you're here for the first time, that you spent 10 years ago, it was 18 grand, I think now it's like up to 28 grand, whatever the hell it is, you know, spent $28,000 here to find out one thing, and one thing only, that AA is free. If you don't believe them, don't laugh. They're being serious. They're not joking. They're not smiling when they tell you this. They will tell you this. If you don't believe them, like a fool that I am, or was, or am, and come back and spend 6 or 9 months at a Jellik unit, they will tell you the same thing on the way out. I said, well, now you came in, you spent $50,000 or $60,000 to find out one thing, and one thing only, that AA is free. And it's available anywhere you go. It's available. I've traveled the world in the last 10 years before that. Anywhere I go, I find AA. Gone to meetings in Hong Kong, Moscow, all over this country of ours. Been to meetings in Peru. I don't speak Spanish very well. I asked permission. I said, can I come and sit in the meeting? They said, you're in AA? I said, yes. I said, come on in. And they had the meeting in Spanish, and somebody actually chose to share in English. I will tell you my story just to qualify myself that I absolutely, positively belong in this seat's auditorium, and I earned my seat in AA and NA and CA and whatever other A you can imagine. Because my drug of choice is, I mentioned somebody here at the table, is what do you got today? You know, and do you have more of it to share? So I suffered from a disease of more. I started drinking pretty early. You can hear from my accent that I probably was not born in the United States. Here's another hint. This disease does not discriminate. Absolutely. You know, men, women, any age, any race, any color, black, white, polka dot, you know, striped zebras, whatever you got. If you never got a chance this year, there's an international AA convention in San Antonio. If you are out, if you are sober, if you have the means, so maybe you're from Texas, maybe you are from San Antonio, go to AA International Convention. You will see, that's where you're going to lose your terminal uniqueness. If you think that nobody understands you, right? If you had my problems, you would drink too. You know, if I drank like you, I would have your problems as well. Seriously. And I did. Make no mistake about it. Started drinking very early, 9, 10, 11, 12, cleaning out. My grandma was making like sweet wine, etc. I would be cleaning out the cups after the parties and taking a sip here and taking a sip there and get nice little warm feeling in my tummy, not stumbling drunk, not puking. Very positive experience. 11, 12, 13. By 14, I was drinking aftershave. Okay? 12 is the first time I puked. 13 is when I started getting champagne, vodka, wine, whatever you got, basically. Whatever you got. Came to this country, I was 15. Pretty smart kid. They placed me in 10th grade. You know, 15-year-old kids usually go 10th grade. So I got 10, 11, and 12th grade out of the way, tested out. year and a half. Went to college. I was 16 and a half. I went to college. Not a huge achievement because I started smoking pot, so that sort of kind of slowed me down just enough, just enough to keep up. Discovered pot. I thought I found God, at that point in time. Never knew what the heck that was, but and interestingly enough, very quickly got into the whole, culture. Got a girlfriend. She was a psych major. I was a computer major at the time, and within 3 months, 6 months, we dated for 4 years in college. A deep intellectual person that she is, she said, you don't drink normally, she says. You have to go talk to somebody on campus about your drinking. I mean, do you really have to drink that much every time we go out? My explanation is, it's heritage. I'm initially from Russia. My tolerance is obviously higher. You're a girl, you're smaller, you can get by on a couple of drinks. I need 7, whatever. But every time? Yes, every time. It just doesn't affect me the same way. And they talk about tolerance and they talk about all that. But in any case, I graduated. I was barely even 20. Went to Wall Street, moved out, got my own place, this and that. Met my wife in New York, like a good alcoholic. I proposed to my wife 5 days later after meeting her. We just celebrated 20 years of marriage in December.
Thank God for age.
She will appreciate your applause because your applause are to her, not to me. Rest assured. And moved out from New York. We met in New York. I worked for Merrill Lynch. She worked for First Boston. We moved out to Northampton, Massachusetts. Fantastic party town. Spent 87 drinking, spent 88 drinking, spent 89 drinking. Started kind of getting older. Started to think about a real family. Like with kids and all that kind of stuff. Kids were not coming, figured out, sort of kind of started testing her, testing me. Turns out it's, I am right and you're male. And, turns out to be a male issue, obviously. So a little 45-minute outpatient surgery that resulted in 2 kids later introduced me to a wonderful world of little white pain pills. Percocets, Vicodins, you name it, whatever. Oxys later. And that's where really, if by that my drink of choice was tequila, so tequila the joint is good, then tequila the joint and 7 Percocets is really good. And there's no doctor in the world that's basically going to prescribe you in the amounts that we tolerate, that I tolerate. And as I said, I was a computer major. Scanning was becoming widespread, so I sort of kind of started manufacturing my own prescriptions at that point in time, and continued on with that for many, many years until the law caught up with me. But that's neither here nor there. But that was the beginning of the end, basically, because we went overseas. I worked in investment banking for a big, UK old British bank. Made a lot of money, worked very hard. Lived overseas, lived in London, lived in Moscow, and after a couple of years of fast living in Moscow, drinking at 7 o'clock in the morning, having my own little private stash downstairs in a mail slot, it was pretty big, so it accommodated a nice big bag of pot, Finlandia vodka, and a little flavored something, because you gotta have flavored vodka, right, if you're drinking, plus tequila. Drinking in the morning, drinking in the afternoon, coming back, pills, pot, booze. 18 months later, almost 2 years, 18, 19 months later, living like that, I was evacuated from Moscow to Helsinki on a plane. I was the only passenger with a TIA, transient ischemic attack, paralyzed on the left side, drooling, walking sideways to the left like this. That's the only direction I could walk. Strapped to a stretcher. My wife is 7 months pregnant. Spend a month on blood thinners, heparin in Helsinki. That job ended. They figured would rather not take chances on an employee like that anymore. He might croak unexpectedly. And came back, settled in Connecticut, got into venture capital, great business, good money. Sort of kind of stayed more or less out of trouble for about 6 months, until I figured out I could do the job with my eyes closed by that point in time, and went back to manufacturing prescriptions, drinking and partying, etc. I really, really, really got into the whole opiate thing, and when I was busted in 1997, turns out I was staring at 16 years in jail. manufacturing your own scripts is a Class A felony, punishable by 8 years in a slammer. And the judge so very kindly informed me that ignorance of the law is not a valid defense in my court. You know, yeah. Thank God I didn't do that, because I'd been a slammer by now. I didn't open my mouth, and somehow, eventually, that case went away. But to make a long story short, I ended up first snorting, then shooting dope. When I was dying from dope, I went down, drove to Philly. My mom drove me down to Philly. Nobody would touch me with a 10-foot pole at that point in time. And put a nice big 90-day worth pellet of naltrexone under my skin. Anybody who is into dope here knows what naltrexone is. It's an opiate blocker, so shoot dope on top of naltrexone is sort of kind of financially wasteful. You know, you're going to die, but you're not going to get high. So what's the point? You know, it also sort of kind of dulls the booze sensation. So you know, you drink, but it doesn't have the same effect. And I was never into, you know, anything like coke or anything like that. Well, it took me exactly 90 days, but I really learned to enjoy crack. So, you know, by the time naltrexone wore off, I had a crack habit on top of a heroin habit on top of a alcoholic drinking, and there was always pot floating around. So when I tell you I am a sort of a human pig, you know, disposable, believe me when I tell you that. And to make a really long story very, very short, because I'm running out of time here, and I really want to get to the point. In March of 1999, after a year and a half, you know, getting caught a few times, multiple rehabs, spending time behind bars, sitting in the back of police cruisers, wearing nice suit, tie, and handcuffs, and sitting on those handcuffs, you know, in December of 97. By the way, it hurts like a son of a bitch to sit on those handcuffs. And the cops don't care. I mean, they really don't care. You know, oh, you got little lines on you. Ah, so sad. And you're laughing. I was shitting bricks. You're laughing. You know, you think it's funny. And it wasn't funny. It really wasn't funny for me at all at that point in time. But, you know, that same judge that informed me that ignorance is not a valid defense, he, you know, just as I was about to open my mouth, the high-priced lawyer that I spent the rest of the money on, you know, just put his hand on my shoulder and said, please don't speak. Don't get up. Don't raise your hand. Don't put the eyes in there. Don't make eye contact. Just play a stone rock. You know, play yourself, basically. Play normal. Play stupid. And I did. And that was the best thing I ever did. Not opening my mouth, because the lawyer stood up and says, Your Honor, you know, the judge says, listen, what are you doing in my courtroom? You know, you have 2 kids, you have a wife, you have a mortgage-free house, you're driving a German vehicle with no payments on it. You know, what are you doing in my courtroom? And just as I was about to say what I wanted to say, I was told not to speak, and the lawyer says, Judge, Your Honor, you know, this is not a bad man, he's a sick man. And the judge said, really? Interesting, he's a sick man. Sick puppy, I told you, I'm a sick puppy. And he said, fine, we'll give you, quote unquote, accelerated rehabilitation. If I don't see your ugly mug here for a couple of years, and then 2 or 3 years of probation after that, you don't have a record. It's quite clean. That was in 1997. My sobriety date is January 25th of 2000. You do the math and you figure out if those words stuck or did not stick. It's just when I switched. I stayed sober on fear alone for about 3 months, 4 months. And then I was back up and running. I didn't know how to stop. I did not know how to stop. And the other condition that the judge put on me was go to AA. You know, well, why AA? You know, I'm a dope fiend. Why? Go to AA. Trust me. And why? Probably because there are more meetings. They're easier, sort of accessible. And because I qualify with my drinking. Because everything begins and ends with tequila for me. Or whatever you got, you know, at that point in time. I'll drink it. I'm not picky. And it didn't stick. Things went from bad to worse. You know, in March of 99, my wife said, you got to go leave the house. I tried to take my life. in 1999 because my wife asked me to leave the house.
Maybe you couldn't zoom in.
And I said, like, hell I will, you're going to carry me out feet first. I shot 9 bags of dope, and I woke up. I don't know why, I don't know how, but that's the truth. That's what happened, okay? And I was really asked to leave, not just the house, but the state. Came here for the first time in May of 99. Went back, my job asked me to leave as well. I got so depressed and upset, I picked up again. I was back here in September. You know, they held me around for, I don't know, 10, 12, 14 days. Kicked me up to Jelnik. I tried to pick up again. You know, they sent me out there to celebrate Jewish holidays. I tried to pick up. I came clean. After coming back here, they said, thank you very much for your honesty. Now get the F out of here. And sent me back to Chicago. Chicago kept me for 10, 12. There's a halfway house, Hazelden in Chicago. They kept me around 10, 12, 14 days. I don't remember how long. And then they asked me to leave as well. Stone cold sober. In my case file, it says extreme self-will. They asked me to leave. I went back home to celebrate the millennium, to see the little zeros spin. And I was sober. I had almost, 90 days at that point in time, which was the record for me. And it was January 7th. I was flying back home, and I started feeling incredibly sorry for myself. Woe is me, look what I lost. There's my house, there's my bed, there's my German vehicle with no payments rusting away in the garage. Nobody needs it, for those kids. And I picked up a beer, one lousy beer in Bradley Airport in Connecticut. By the time I landed, it's a 2-hour flight from Connecticut to Chicago. I was a stark, raving lunatic, plain and simple. I had no idea where to buy, where to score in Chicago, whatnot. I went through a line of 25 cabs with the last $98 in my hand, asking each cabbie to buy me a score. 24 cabbies told me to get lost. 2 of them said, I'm going to call the cops if you don't leave right now. 25th one said, sure, okay, get in, no problem, I'll take you, I know the spot, but you don't mind sharing a little, do you? No, I didn't mind. I'm a generous guy. I didn't mind at all. That was January 7th. For 18 days, I have no idea what happened. Really, genuinely. I just wanted to kill the pain that one night. That's it. And then I wanted to stop. Then I wanted to put it down. On January 25th, my buddy, mentor, was assigned to me, who was 12 years my junior at that point in time. Troy F., another Silk War reject, graduate. He was a great guy. Same room, same girl, same bag of dope. I go first. I'm fine. I'm good. Takes half a bag, puts it in, 15 seconds later, on the floor, turns all blue, starts foaming at the mouth, gone in 30 seconds. 29 years old. That was number one. Okay? His rest in peace day is my sobriety day. I didn't pick up, but I did not get sober on the 25th. I didn't pick up, but I did not get sober. 3 or 4 or 5 days later at the funeral, I was still detoxing. What I saw, what I witnessed, and I was brought in bodily because I was still shaky physically to pay my respects to this. And he was a dear friend. He really was. He was my roommate. As I said, he was my buddy. I learned a lot from Troy. He introduced me to my first sponsor. I owe him everything. And he's from a very well-off family. I see his mother. I see 2 of his sisters. His father, after 3 years in our fellowship, picked up, went drinking, and shot himself on Christmas Day. Troy came back with a desire not to live anymore. And what I witnessed, the pain, the anguish, the tears of the family, did something to me. Not until I fell on my knees in front of his casket, and just started literally, audibly begging God for me not to do that to my family. I didn't care if I live or die. My life was over. Anyway, no job, no family, no German vehicle with no payments, no house, nothing to live for. But to do that to my mom, to my kids, 4 and 6 years old, to my wife, I didn't want to do that. I said, please, whatever. I'll do whatever. just please remove this obsession from me. I uttered those words. Please help me. I had nothing to lose. Tears streaming down my eyes, down my cheeks. I didn't have to pick up since that day. Something reached very deep inside. And it's like it's the tiniest little switch that just was thrown after years and years and years of trying, this program on size, auditing AA by sitting on the periphery, coming in late, leaving early, leaving in the middle of the meeting, going to the car, taking a hit of this or a hit of that, coming back into the meeting or not coming back and whatnot. Something just flipped a switch. Not me, but something else from within me, from outside of me. The simple voice, instead of voice, says, why not you? Who are you? Why not you? If it works for millions upon millions upon millions upon millions, why not you? What makes you so goddamn special? And I couldn't come up with the answer to that question. And that was it. And that was it. And my sponsor, if you ever, my first sponsor was amazing. He was a little younger than me. He did a 7-year stint in jail on a manslaughter charge. Somebody came after him with a knife away, stabbed the guy. The guy died. He did 7 years. Came out sober, got sober in jail. So if you're going to pick somebody to do your fifth step with, pick a murderer. Really, what can you possibly tell the guy that he hasn't seen, done, or experienced in jail? What are you going to tell him? And I thought it was so special, And I had real trouble with second step and third step. I had trouble with every step except the first one. Because that one I got right around January 25th of 2000. That I am truly powerless. And my life is truly unmanageable. Admit it to ourselves. Not to another human being, but admit it to ourselves, who and what we are. And I had no doubts anymore who and what I am. I don't know when I crossed that invisible line, but I did cross it at some point in time. And now, you cannot take a pickle and turn it back into a cucumber at some point in time. Once you're a pickle, you're a pickle. Be the best pickle you can be. Plain and simple. Plain and simple. Being a pickle is not that bad. It's really not that bad. Beats the hell out of being dead. I'd rather be a pickle. That's okay. And seriously. And Steve C was my first sponsor, and he is sitting in front of me, in a diner late at night. And we're talking about this whole goddamn God thing, step 2 and 3 and whatnot. And he knows where I'm at. I don't know where he's at, but he knows where I'm at. He's been there. And he says, I know that you got nothing. You got nothing. He says, look at you. Who cares if you were a big shot investment banker? Or who cares? You're living in an $80 a week halfway house called Beacon House. All the possessions in the world that you own fit in this tiniest little duffel bag. It's a pair of socks and an underwear with holes in it. That's it. That's all you have in the world. What is the worst thing possibly that can happen to you if in the morning when you fall out of bed, out of your bunk, you fall to your knees and you say one word, help. What's the worst thing that can happen? Can it possibly be any worse than it is now? Again, I couldn't come up with an answer. I said, okay, And she said, do that. And he says, when you crawl back, right before at night, when you sort of, go to the bathroom, wash your hands, wipe them, and before you crawl back into your bunk, what is the absolutely worst thing that can happen to you at night if you will fall back to your knees and say, thank you? That's it. It says, believe that I believe. That's all he said. Believe that I believe. Because I had nothing. And I looked him in the eyes, and I trusted him, and I was a few days sober, and he was a few years sober. And I tell you honestly, there was life in the eyes of a murderer. Nothing evil, nothing dark, nothing malicious. Light, pure and simple. He had nothing to gain. He had no reason to lie to me. He just was. He was there. And I said, I have no problems with that. I know for a fact that you're a schmuck and you believe. That's fine. That's perfectly fine with me. I could live with that. He said, good. Work with that. Work with that. We can work with that. That was step 2. And step 3. And that was it. And I said, go write some stuff. Put 4 columns down. Put all your fears. Put all your resentments down. You know? Hurts done others. What hurts? I never heard. Stolen my life. Says, go work on it. And I did. And I shared it with him. Yeah. And it so went on. Here's the problem. Here's the biggest thing that I sort of kind of found out through trial and error. This program doesn't work for people that want it. I wanted to get sober, desperate. It doesn't even work for people that need it. I was dying physically, mentally, spiritually, emotionally. I was this close to following my friend. This program works for people that do it. Plain and simple. It doesn't matter what I believe. It makes no difference. It matters what I do. It's in the process of doing as a result of these previous 11 steps. There is a spiritual awakening. And then I can do something with that spiritual awakening. It is in a way like exercise or muscle or something like that. There is no magic formula. Everything is important. Making the bed. I had no idea. They come on Silkworth, the first thing they teach me is how to make the bed. I said, what does making a bed has to do with me staying sober? I'm here to save my life. You're going to teach me how to make pillowcases? You know, tuck the sheets in? What's that to do with anything? Discipline. Just steps, small baby steps is what it's all about. And consistency. Plain and simple consistency. 3,659 days later. And that's consecutive sobriety, no breaks in between, nothing. I still go to 6 meetings a week. Okay? I sponsor people. I have the same sponsor. My first sponsor moved away. California, became an actor. Go figure. Sober actor. Right? You know, I see his face on TV. He calls me every year to pick up the phone, call me. I got a sponsor in Connecticut, sight unseen. Sight unseen. Spoke to a guy, you're my sponsor. Yes, I'll be your sponsor. He's still my sponsor to today. 24 years sober, something along those lines. Looks like Santa. Beard out to here, Really good guy. Old school. Really old school. Best thing you can do with a sponsor, pick a deaf one with hearing aids. Because why are you laughing? It is so convenient. Next time, and we do, we go through a cycle of steps at least once a year. At least once a year. Sometimes more than that. Every time I come in, and the sheet of paper on the force is getting progressively smaller. I'm out of resentments. My resentments are so petty now that I'm ashamed to tell you what they are. They're petty. They're nonsense. Plain and simple nonsense. My fears are gone. Fear of economic insecurity has left me. I am not any more economically secure today than I was 10 years ago, but the fear of economic insecurity has left me. I'm able to pay for my ticket to come here and speak to you. Hazelden doesn't pay for me to come here.
Which one?
Flying in from Connecticut, staying, talking, pouring my heart out. You have no idea. We have this speaker, Chicago Bob. Big guy. Comes in. I'm sure you guys have seen it. And I'll be sitting right here, with this bunch of marvelous individuals. And, here's Chicago Bob telling me of putting a corkscrew through his, cheek in a cocaine-induced stupor, not feeling anything at all. And and I said to myself, what an interesting story. I've never done that. And in reality, as long as I kept comparing myself, how different I am from this speaker, I'm not as bad as him, but I'm much better than this guy over here. But in reality, what I've learned is that we're all the same. We really are all the same. International convention is truly where I left my terminal uniqueness behind. When you see every flag from Algeria to Zimbabwe, every language, every race, every religion, the whole God thing becomes it becomes a non-issue. It works the same. It doesn't matter what pendant you wear. It doesn't matter what church, synagogue, or mosque you go to. It has nothing to do with those things. Religion is was designed, I think, for people that are really like afraid of hell. Spirituality is for people that have been to hell and are now back and standing here to tell you that there's nothing scary about spirituality, that there is something bigger than any one of us. You know, I am here to, and I open and I close, right? 7:30, we all gotta go bye-bye. Don't laugh, I've been flying all day. Be nice. Have compassion, people, come on. And, you know, I'm here to tell you that we are all the same. We really, really are. We're all connected. You know, I come on the unit today just to hang out with the guys, and somebody from the unit starts talking about coincidences. Don't believe in miracles. Rely upon them. There is no question about it. Everything that you need will be given to you. I promise you that. Promises are not an empty passage in the book. Promises are
No
true.
coincidences.
And as soon as we wake up, you know, the promises will start coming true for us as well. Okay? It's good. So, on that note, I want to thank you very much for giving me an opportunity.
The second one.
Yeah, no.
Nice ass.
Like,
Yeah.
look at Danny. Come on, Danny.
Link it.
Such a fucking dumbass, man. Here's an isolator. Look at him. The only guy in the place, man.
Really?
Take a bit and have a seat,
Guy.
please.
Wouldn't you feel weird?
God.
You know.
Get ready to play because it's only a short song. There you go. Turn it up.
You want to record it?
No.
What is it?